Hi there, welcome to Market Insight for a Friday edition, July 12, 2024. I am David Chiedu. Many thanks indeed again for joining us. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. I'm hoping that you are excited about the weekend. And I say hoping because many Nigerians, despite the fact that it is the weekend, aren't particularly excited, about what they had to or what they have had to deal with the entire week, filing up on very long queues to get a commodity that should be readily available and abundant. I'm talking about PMS, that is, petrol. Now, Nigerians have grappled with the perennial fuel scarcity occasioned by long vehicular queues across major metropolis in the country recently as the landing cost of petrol surged to 978 naira per litre, which, as you know, has deepened the cost of living crisis and loss of businesses, among other consequences. Now, today on Market Insight, we are talking about Nigeria's perennial fuel scarcity challenge and the way forward, vis-a-vis the recent cases and why we are still experiencing, and witnessing these after so many years. I'm going to be having a conversation with my co-host this morning, Lovina Emah. Good morning.
Good morning, David, and it's great to have you. Today is Friday, TGIF.
TGIF.
Yes, the fuel scarcity, it's been going on for so long. Every now and then we see fuel scarcity, then it gets better, fuel scarcity again, and it gets better. I mean, we really need to put a permanent solution to this.
That's exactly what
it's been happening one time too many.
That's what most Nigerians are saying. And, every other time it does happen, you find that the attendant, problems or the attendant consequences are quite expensive, quote unquote, for Nigerians to handle. And then we find ourselves right back where we started because the problems, for some reason, best known to the universe, I would say, seems unsolvable. But then again, the authorities have given us, promises after promises. But, we live in hope that one day, fortune will smile on us. So, that's essentially where we are at the moment.
Hopefully, yes, one of these days. Before we get right into the fuel scarcity discussion, we're going to talk briefly about the Nigerian stock market, how it's trading this week from Monday, 8th July to Thursday, 11th July. We can't talk about Friday right now because trading activities are still going on the stock market. So this week was quite a rough week at the NGX. I mean, the market started on a negative note. That's on Monday, July 8th, and it's continued its bearish one. What I mean by bearish one, it was negative throughout the week, and by Thursday the all share index was in the red for the 6th consecutive day. Transactions on the floor of the stock exchange, that's from let me specify now, from Thursday 11th July, it was negative. It closed on a negative note on Thursday 11th of July, and the sentiment was really, people were not really pleased with this because of this negative news. I mean, the market closed negative throughout the whole week, which was quite surprising for everybody. So I have a stockbroker with me to discuss how the stock market fared this week. The all-share index declined by 0.33%, settling at 99,468 from the previous close of 99,802. And this brings the year-to-date to 33.23%, the month-to-date to a negative 0.58%, and the week-to-date to a negative 0.5%, respectively. The market's capitalization closed at 56 trillion naira. That's an aggregate of over 296 million units of shares that was traded in over 7,126 deals, valued at over 5 trillion naira. The market's breadth closed positive, which is quite interesting, as 21 equities gained while 18 equities declined in share prices. So to discuss how the stock market fared this week, I have a chartered stockbroker in the studio here with me. That's David Adonri. He's the Executive Vice Chairman, Highcap Securities Limited. He's also a chartered stockbroker with over several years of experience in the capital market. He's an aggregator on Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. So welcome to Market Insight, David Adonri.
Thank you very much, Lovina, for that very wonderful and generous introduction. I really appreciate.
Welcome, Mr. David.
Thank you, David. So we have two kings on the podium.
It's always a good, it's always a good
yeah.
thing.
Thank you very much, David.
Okay, so it's great to have you on the program. So why did the markets close negative this week? From Monday to Thursday, it was all negative. The all-share index declined by 0.01% on Monday. On Tuesday, it declined by 0.20%. Wednesday, 0.25%, 0.33% on Thursday. So why did the markets close negative this week?
Yeah. First, I would like to state that is the normal character of the equities market. It's like a sine wave, and it could be very, very volatile. That is, prices can appreciate or depreciate at various points in time. Although it's a little bit surprising, like you said, because seasonally we are at the period of the year when the equities market is expected to be a little bit bullish, because now investors are expecting half-year results from the listed companies. But that is not the situation now, and there are reasons for that, really. The emphasis has shifted from the secondary market for equities to the primary market, as a number of banks approach the primary market with new issues for recapitalization as directed by their regulator. And so a lot of investors who are stakeholders in those banks would want to retain their ownership positions. So that may cause some of these investors to divest from the secondary market generally, but principally from the banking stocks, which are higher in prices than the prices at the primary market for these banks. So when they divest from the secondary market, they then move their funds to the primary market to take advantage of the primary market issues that are on. So you know, the banks are like front runners in the secondary market. So anything that happens to the banks in terms of their prices would always have a magnifying effect on the direction of the equities market. I also eavesdropped on the discussion we were having before I joined you here concerning the fuel, the chaos in the
fuel scarcity, yes,
sector, you know. So those are the kind of price-sensitive events that can also adversely affect investors' confidence in the equities market and make them to migrate their assets from equities to debt. Then finally, on this issue, you know, the yield on debt has been very high, rising as a result of the hike in interest rate by the monetary authority in order to combat inflation. So that is causing financial assets to migrate away from the economy in general to the debt space, leaving very little flow of financial assets to equities. So a combination of these have temporarily depressed the equities market with the little pullback you have seen recently. But what is just a flick, really, which is not likely to continue into the future, because when the half-year results start hitting the market, then of course there will be reaction again from investors. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that well-detailed explanation on this matter. Now, let's talk about the top gainers and the top decliners for this week. Yes, we saw a change in the top gainers and top decliners this week, how they've actually fared. So can we just delve into that now? What's responsible for the change in the companies that gained this week and the companies that also declined? Because every week we keep seeing these changes. Could you just share some insights into that?
Yeah, you know, the demand for shares are driven by a lot of factors. You may have some strategic investors who are taking position in some securities. And so if there is a sudden increase in demand for such shares, of course, under the basic laws of supply and demand, the price will definitely rise. And so what we have witnessed in the week has actually been a little appreciation by some low cap companies, not really major companies experiencing the price appreciation.
Yes,
So
if I
that
may
is,
add, yes, we saw Dark Communications was one of the top gainers this week at
Yeah.
9.62%. Then Vitafoam,
yeah.
Jais Bank. I mean, this is quite new. We don't normally see these kind of companies in the top gainers list. So I think it's something good for Dark Communications, especially.
Yes, we are excited because looking at myself as an investor too, you know, I invested in Dark Communications long ago when they came to the market to raise funds several years ago. And after that offering, we were all locked up in that security. There was no liquidity in that security, which defeated the essence of public listing on a stock exchange. So it's been a really welcome development that now there is liquidity coming back to that security. Like I'm talking of Dark Communications, and we are seeing some momentum building up in the security as a result of several fundamental changes that have taken place in Dark Communications. You know, and I think the new reinvigorated board of the company is doing a marvelous job. I personally know one or two people there. My colleague, who is also your colleague on this side of the aisle, Nona Awo, is on the board of Dark Communications now. And these people really understand the sentiments of investors and what drives the market. Jais Bank is doing well. Its fundamentals are also getting stronger and so eliciting more confidence in investors. You know, of course, Vitafoam has always been a performing stock for ages, a very reliable old warhorse. It's only the mid-cap stock there, you know,
Yeah,
that
Mikio
appreciated.
stock, yes, and livestock also.
Livestock was a toast of the market several years ago, but in recent past, it has not been performing very well in terms of remunerating investors. So I'm not surprised that the demand for livestock declined very severely recently, but it's picking up again. I think there are changes going on in the company. Well, some of them may also be attractive because several other high cap stocks have been taken out of the purchasing power of retail investors. You know, so a lot of them may be gathering momentum. There are several other factors too that, of course, will influence certain securities appreciating, some declining. Some of them could be related to macroeconomic factors, fiscal policies, monetary policies, and so on and so forth. The surprising thing was Seplat. Seplat declined very severely. I'm sure you are coming to that.
Yes,
Really,
but I'll let my colleague get to that first of all.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Mr. Adonri,
Yeah.
earlier you mentioned that investors and shareholders alike were expecting certain returns in the first half of the year, but that hasn't exactly been the case. So at this point in time, we have just entered, H2 of 2024. So how do all stakeholders involved, at both ends, re-strategize to facilitate or to foster, if you like, better yield, that is all-encompassing as far as the second half of the year is concerned?
Yes, of course, we have had 2 quarters in the year, and listed companies have submitted their financials for those 2 quarters. So those financials will serve as guide. No, I think for only 1 quarter, really, first quarter. We're expecting for the second quarter, which will be the half-year report. So the first quarter financials will serve as an indicator as to the kind of performance that investors will expect from those listed companies. And of course, in the market there are hearsays. A lot of people who have been monitoring the companies. Some people are very close to those companies and they are hearing a lot of things. So that will decide how they react in the market. So you have mentioned first half is gone. We have seen indicators from first quarter, and that will determine the kind of expectations that investors can harbor for securities for the end of the first half of the year. So the results are likely going to start coming to the market from the later part of this July. And so when the results start coming, those companies that have improved in their fundamentals, of course, will elicit high demand from investors, and so investors will take position in them. So the areas we are expecting will sustain their Q1 performance.
All right.
Will be the banking sector, because if you look at what they posted in the first quarter of the year, very, very impressive results.
Let me pause your thoughts there,
Yeah.
Mr. David. Just very quickly before we take a short break, the Minister of Environment, Malam Balarabe Lawal, was at the NGX for the event. What's do we expect from his visit, to the market on Wednesday? What sort of impact would that make, or would that have rather, on the market?
Yeah, that visit by the Honorable Minister of Environment, Alhaji Balarabe Abbas Musa, that we are seeing right on the screen there, was a highly strategic visit. It was actually joining a visit by the new Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission and eminent personalities from the ministry and also from the market. So that visit was very, very strategic and important. First, for the fact that his presence was used to launch the impact board of the exchange. That impact board of the exchange is a new board, for the consolidation of all environmentally sustainable instruments will be listed. The market is made up of several boards. We have premium board and so on and so forth, debt board and all. So, and a lot of these instruments that were issued to raise finance for environmentally friendly and important projects were scattered on the various boards of the market. So now it's being consolidated into a single board known as the Impact Board.
Okay.
So any investor who is interested in taking position in sustainable instruments, instruments that are geared towards sustaining the environment and so on and so forth, they will be listed there. Okay. Then the minister also came to sensitize the investing public as to the fact that green bonds are going to be issued by the ministry and the federal government to raise finance to execute environmental issues, important issues.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. David Adonri, for joining us on Market Insights today. We are going to pick up the conversation regarding the perennial fuel scarcity issues in the country very, very shortly, just after the break. This is Market Insights. Stay tuned.